Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to make sure you know all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on all new episodes of Wade's World, Boob Windows and Long Boxes, our Hard R movie reviews, and so much more, all completely uncensored. Access starts for as little as $1 a month, full videos when you pledge $3 a month. Check us out at the link in all of our show notes, or just go straight to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome once again, cats and kittens, to the great and powerful Super Connectivity Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits,
Phil me and Parrot.
Welcome back, Phil. Always great to have you. Oh, let's see. What's in the news today, Philip? Well, we did get the new Hawkeye trailer. I'm sure you saw.
Oh, yes.
That dropped like 1 week ago today. So it's like, oh, look at this. Here's my theory. Got one little theory that I don't think anyone's caught yet. You know that scene where Kate Bishop kicks the bottle and like hits the guy in the head?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Hawkeye. She's hitting in the head.
Oh.
I think because if you look like where the bottle hits, that's where he's got the little butterfly tape on his head
Mm-hmm.
in the later scenes. So I think that's in that first confrontation. Someone else pointed out that the reason he probably goes to the big LARPing event is because he's trying to find a teenager who knows how to fight with a sword who can best him. And that's how he's going to find it. I don't know. That seems like a real big net, a big wide net to throw.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually think he just goes to a Renaissance fair because he's a carnival worker. It's probably fun for him, you know?
Oh, yeah.
His old, I mean, hey, where else in the world is an archer going to be a big draw sensation? You know, it's like the swordsman, the archer. Yeah, that's going to be a Ren fair. But you know what? I bet you're going to get that backstory for Hawkeye in this, where he was a Rennie. That's what you call him. You know, I know because some of my best friends were Rennies, and quite frankly, that was like, as a young man, that was the dream, to be a Ren fair guy, going town to town to all the Ren fairs with your little satchel and pack and selling your wares. Living La Vida Ren Fair. That was the dream. And so I think you're going to get back. So I think that's where we're going to meet the swordsman. And we're going to get... We might even get that actual... Who was the fat Hawkeye?
Was that...
Remember...
Was that Trick Shot or was...
Yeah, Trick Shot. I think we might... Maybe we're not going to get the swordsman. We're going to get Trick Shot in this. You know, we're gonna get this Alan Hale looking guy, which would be great, and actually have him be like a big burly Volstagg type, and just that would replace my lost Volstagg right there. Just getting Trick Shot in as the guy who trained Hawkeye to be the world's greatest archer, and I know those moves. You taught her those moves. It's like, you left the carnival to join S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know if I can ever forgive it. This is an art. It's not meant for those people, you know.
Uh-huh.
I could totally see that as a thing between them. It's like, you don't understand. I had to do it. This was for the greater good. It's like, you know, what we do isn't for the greater good. It's to shoot arrows because that's what we do. I don't know. I'm sure there's some sort of philosophy behind it that caused the rift. I do wonder if they're going to have that he actually was kind of a supervillain for a little while, using his powers for evil and personal gain. Perhaps trying to steal stuff from not yet Iron Man Tony Stark, and then gets recruited by Nick Fury, yada yada. Maybe we'll get that Hawkeye origin story we never got in this. And that's actually one of my biggest dreams, is that we're going to have those parallels between a young kid coming up, trying to be a superhero, maybe falling into the villainy paradox. And that could be an interesting idea.
Oh yeah, I mean we got the Black Widow movie, so now it's Hawkeye's turn.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
six issue series at least.
And we are going to get. We are told we're going to get Yelena in this. Now, will that be a post credits Yelena? Will that be like what is her role going to be in there? Is she going to be a major character?
Mm.
We don't know, but we do know that Hawkeye wants to speak to the manager, and of course, the manager of the tracksuit Dracula's was, of course, the Kingpin. Although you do see in the comics that Kingpin was running all the gangs,
Well,
including good old Maynard, the ringmaster in that one.
it's always Kingpin.
It's his gig, and quite frankly, I get the, I do think, all the speculation, because that is one thing that's been coming up lately, because like Tom Holland has said it, and Vincent D'Onofrio has said it. It's like, could you guys please stop asking me about this stuff, because I don't want to jinx my appearance in any of these things. In fact, that's actually come out like elsewhere, where like someone was up for a role and then they decided not to ask them because everyone started asking for them for the role.
No, geez.
And it was like, guys, just, we love your fan enthusiasm, but let it be. We would all love to work for Marvel, present company included. We would all love to be a part of that sandbox, but they are constantly being very careful and cautious with their products. And now, that was actually one of the other interesting things that came out recently is there's apparently a book out about the founding of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the fact that this is the actual animosity between what happened between the television and the film universes. It's not the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. It's none of that stuff. It is Daredevil and Ghost Rider and Punisher, who were all people that Feige had ideas for. But he was told by Marvel Television, no, we're going to take those. We're going to make the Netflix deals with these guys. It'll be in your universe, sure, but we're the ones that are going to do it. So that was really the problem. But, now he has it back. Now he is in charge of it, Now, and really, since the last seasons of all those shows, Feige is in charge. And the fact of the matter is Feige, if he loves comic books, he knows you have to work with what the previous author did.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to ignore continuity. That's the worst thing you can ever do to a comic book fan is ignore continuity. Because no matter how good your new continuity is, everyone is going to say, well, that's not the old continuity. That's not the continuity that brought me here.
No, like
not you Inhumans. Don't get excited.
It's like this morning, Lilith and I were talking about something. Like I said, a good example is Al Ewing. He did his own thing with Immortal Hulk, but he also brought in stuff from previous, like the Peter David stuff.
Oh yeah, and he put his pieces back in the box.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't take any of his pieces out though. It's all there. You can all play with these pieces again. I've left some loose threads that you guys can tie up later if you want to have fun with them. But yeah, he was a great comic book writer because he wrote a story that had a great evolving plot that dealt a lot with the character, had the character grow, and then had them come back to what is effectively a place of equilibrium again.
Mm-hmm.
From which they can grow again. It was, this is just completely random. This morning I was listening to, I think it was it Radio Lab or was it the New Yorker podcast? Anyway, it was one of those things. And they were talking about Kurt Vonnegut's speech on the shape of a story, which is the XY axis of, good fortune and bad fortune. And I think the other one is progression in time. And do you start with bad fortune and come to good fortune? Do you start with good fortune, come to bad fortune? And how do you structure that story? And then he goes through several stories like Cinderella and this and that and the other. Uses these great tropes like the man in the hole story, which I like. It doesn't have to be about a man, it doesn't have to be in a hole. But the idea is when you have someone who sort of digs himself out of a problem, and that's the idea. And the thing is that what we always, that's right. No, it was actually on the media, because it was all about how the language we use around the virus, the coronavirus, is this storytelling language, and how we want the story to be this fictional story where, and then the vaccine came out and all was well throughout the land forever and ever.
No.
But that's not how stories work. That's not how real life works. And even though you can have a resolution to a part of a story, every story comes back to equilibrium. Like every human story, it always ends at equilibrium and then it starts again. And it's not that you forgot what came before. It's that, well, here's where I am now, and now I have to make my decisions about this life and this world leaving from this point. And that's what a good writer does. That is what a good comic book writer does. That's what a good TV writer does. And then they re-knit together the story they're going to tell. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so I certainly hope Kevin Feige saw that Kurt Vonnegut lecture years ago, understands that everyone's in equilibrium, just like how all the toys are in the box. Maybe Iron Fist's not quite in the box, right? But that's okay. We can fix it. You can always recast. That's the most important thing about all these shows, is you can always recast a character. Mm-hmm. No one's going to be mad when you recast. Trust me, no one was that mad when we got a new Rhodey in the second, didn't even have a whole thing about him getting an eye lift. It was just, nope, that's Rhodey now.
I mean, it helped that the first actor was only in the first Iron Man and the first MCU movie. Otherwise, it would have been a whole different story if he had done 10 and then replace them after.
But at the same time, but then that's both the Adam West problem, which is that at a certain point, I know it's 1989 and I know we all love you, Adam West, but we don't know if you can be Batman. And that is a truth to it, that Adam West. Actually, what helped Adam West was just that, Frank Miller had just done The Dark Knight Returns. So the idea of, no, you can do an old Batman with Adam West. It's like, nerds were their own worst enemy in that one. Again, nerds are your own worst enemy. Maybe people might have thought of that had nerds not insisted.
But I mean, for those movies, especially now, they want someone who's young enough who can play that role and be physical for at least 10 years.
Yeah, well, that's true. Although, to be fair, Michael Keaton was not a physical actor.
No,
he was not. This was kids in 1989. We didn't make actors go to the gym. That's what latex was for. And we could make them be just as big and strong as we wanted, and then have them come out of the suit. Oh, man. If you've never seen, there's some images, and it's actually a little bit later, but we see the animatronic Hulk, because they were going to do an animatronic Hulk TV movie or TV series. It looks neat, but, it's an animatronic Hulk.
Yeah.
He moves like a Five Nights at Freddy's character, which means the animatronic Hulk. You can look it up on YouTube. Just do animatronic Hulk TV series or movie. They were going to make one. They had the animatronics all made. They were quite animatronic. But getting back to the story at hand. But that does get me into my other big thing. Now, I like a lot of classic horror. I like a lot of classic TV. And man, people get so mad about reboots. And those of you who don't know, Rob Zombie is doing a Munsters movie. Have you heard about this, Philip?
I have heard about it. I've seen one picture of it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because he did the makeup tests. He released Meet Your Munsters. And it's like, and it's like, and every time this gets posted, it's, because they always do what you wanted, wish, they do the whole thing, that whole thing, Amazon.com versus Wish.com. Because I guess if you order from Wish.com, apparently you get lousy things. At least that's what Amazon has paid meme makers to tell me. Because basically, whenever I get these like little corporate fights, I get thinking, I got a feeling nobody made. I don't think that any human made that. I think that was a paid meme creation, because they do that now. And but every time I say that, I have to explain to people. You understand that the demands that Al Lewis and Fred Gwynn and Yvonne DeCaro were making to come back for another show were just unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
We can't resurrect them from the dead and make them alive again, despite the premise of the series, to do it. And as it stands, I mean, they actually, my favorite character so far is Grandpa, because they gave him this big, glorious mustache, like a real Transylvanian prince should have. That makes me happy. And, and here's what I'm going to say. And everyone's saying, well, Rob Zombie doesn't make comedies. And it's like, well, does he not make comedies? His horror movies are pretty absurdist. And I get the feeling that his love of the Marx Brothers, because, of course, that's the whole Captain Spaulding, I think he is going to be able to find a really brilliant mix on it to do these characters. Now, will the actors be able to do it? I mean, it's a little rough that he always casts his wife in it. And it's not that she's not good. That's the thing. She's good at it. She's a really good actress. But, it's sort of like, when you marry the director and the director keeps on using you in your films, it makes people feel weird about things. But really, we shouldn't worry so much about everybody's love life, in my own opinion,
I think people are just worried about thinking nepotism or,
Yeah, I mean, and truth be told, that is a part of it. But then again, I imagine it's also that idea that maybe he doesn't like her doing films with other directors, because, the guy's name is Rob Zombie. I'm going to wager the guy has a lot of internal worries about himself.
Yeah.
And his wife is super attractive and probably totally awesome. And I can see how a guy like that might have, like, I don't know if I want you making movies with other people. I can write you as many movies as you want. And, that can also, although I got to say, hopefully they have a good, healthy relationship and they work through it. Maybe she doesn't want to work with other directors, because maybe other directors are creeps. Maybe Rob Zombie is the one guy who wasn't a creep in all of Hollywood, and she was like, you know what? This is a guy I can work with. I like to imagine Rob Zombie is, in his own way, his own kind of Herman Munster, who is actually just a really sweet, lovable guy who everyone thinks is scary.
I mean, he just looks scary. I mean, he's been around since what? At least the 90s. I mean, we haven't heard any stories so far. You would hope,
No, because he's a happily married man. He just likes making big, scary songs.
Yeah.
The man lives in Halloween. He's like Alan Moore, without being a real jerk about it.
Oh my! But no, I mean, and it's you said he did, he's not known for making comedies. Well, at least not yet. Maybe this is his first big thing in comedy. I mean, you brought up Michael Keaton. Remember in 1989 or even the year or two before that, when they announced Michael Keaton was going to be Batman, they're like, oh, Mr. Mom, the comedy guy.
Oh yeah, exactly. Now, he had actually also made dramas before then, but everyone knew, but his big hits were comedies. Mm-hmm. And, and he still does great comedies. He was Johnny Dangerously, man.
Yeah.
Which, to me, Johnny Dangerously, perfect. Like, if I was making Batman 89, and I was Tim Burton, I was like, get me Johnny Dangerously.
But now,
Dangerously or Johnny Dangerous?
I think was it
Johnny Dangerous, I think, yeah.
But I mean, look. But now it's like he's one of those few guys who's had a role in Marvel and DC.
Oh yeah, yeah. You just got to get him on that Star Wars, and then he's like really got it all. Um, and he may be coming back for something. I guess Flashpoint. Maybe they're saying.
Well, yeah, I think he's in the Flash. Yeah, yeah.
Why not? Like I said, I still believe what I said before, that they're going to tie it into that Flashpoint episode of the TV show. Because you know what? They need the good stink on them.
Yeah, but I don't
Everyone says he doesn't want to be compared. It's like, actually, that's exactly what he wants to be compared to. He wants to say, see this thing you like? Well, we accept and honor it. We honor what came before. Now let us tell this story, which is its own thing, but know that it takes nothing away from the glories that came before.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people like TV Flash more than Ezra Miller. So, I don't know if they want to do that. Just for like, why didn't we use Grant Gustin?
Well, no, because Grant Gustin has his own movie. He has his own stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, eventually, no matter how good the role is, you eventually get, tired of it,
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, the role can have all kinds of growth and character and story. And they can be driving up the money truck every week. But that's the thing about money, is that at a certain point, the money just becomes money.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not buying steak dinners with it every night, or if you are buying steak dinners with it every night, and it's not actively depreciating the pile, you're like, why is all this money here?
Mm-hmm.
What is this all supposed to do? You wonder why rich people go into philanthropies. That's why. As soon as they retire, they're like, get this stuff out of here. This is very annoying to me. It's like dust. It's everywhere. Ugh. And as I always say, a rich man's got to get into heaven somehow. But all that said, what was I saying? Well, actually, there was one other thing I want to talk about really quick, which was 80th anniversary of Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Teen Titans Go special. I know you haven't seen it.
Oh. No, so it was a Wonder Woman special.
Oh, it was amazing. Because the Teen Titans get invited to DC Comics for the big 80th anniversary special. And of course, who is running DC Comics? No one else but Detective Chimp. Who they make British, which I get because he does wear the Sherlock Holmes hat. And maybe he has been much more Sherlockian in his previous interpretations. I did like my Justice League Dark, more of a hard-boiled Detective Chimp. I like my Marlowe Detective Chimp more than my Conan Doyle Detective Chimp. I'll go on record for that. And all that said, yeah, so they get there apparently for the big 80th. If you are at DC and you're one of the A-list stars, they name something after you, and they unveil the new Wonder Woman Executive Conference Room. Teen Titans want to have a conference room named after them. They say no, only A-listers get conference rooms named or things named after them. And of course, they see the Superman writers' room, which of course is like it's a frozen wasteland, because of course it's like the what do you call it? The Fortress of Solitude. So it's like all ice and they're all sitting in the cold. A joke about poor writers' conditions. They have the Batman art department, which is just very goth, and it's a big bat cave and taking pictures of things. And then, the Aquaman water cooler. But they say, if we don't put out a good Wonder Woman 80th anniversary issue, we'll get destroyed by the competition. And when the Teen Titans take Superman, Batman, and Aquaman out of the running and then create the comic book themselves, which, hey, Detective Chimp, very poor managerial skills that you didn't go back and check up on them. You're a bad editor, Detective Chimp. You got to stay on those creatives, okay? One thing I will say, you have to stay on creatives. And they give their comic book, which is about, and it's actually a brilliant comic book of Wonder Woman, finds out that her prescriptions weren't renewed because it's very old Wonder Woman, because she's 80 and she does now her cat. and she knits a sweater of truth from the lasso of truth. And because it turns out her prescription wasn't renewed because her HMO does not cover name brand prescriptions, so she had to be prescribed the generic. Anyway, that's her thing. And Detective Shimp says, no, we can't go to press with that because the competition will destroy us. And they say, oh, no, it's the competition. And there's this big building, and it's got a hammer and a shield and claws. And then you get into the building fight because then they plug in the DC stuff, the DC rooms. So it has Superman powers and Batman powers and Aquaman powers. They even had a Human Torch from the competition. So that was really cool. But of course, the DC people are defeated until Wonder Woman shows up and beats up the competition single-handedly. And that's how you know it's fantasy. Well, it was supposed to be some other comic book company that had other heroes with other powers that seemed somewhat familiar. Well, yes, but then the DC building had all the DC superhero powers, so including Swamp Thing, which they elevated to an A-list character because Alan Moore, hey, good for him. It's an A-list, you know. So any character from the 90s that had a big controversial run that is not A-list, really. Even John Constantine gets name checked here and there. So, so that was fun. That was that. Oh, Stargirl. Quick on Stargirl.
Yes.
You watched it.
Yes, sir.
Everyone makes it out, and the shade dies. The end.
Yeah, side of the black and white thing. Yes.
Yeah, the black and white thing, which was weird. Which is like, you know, and it's all like, oh, the. Again, it's this kind of stuff where at a certain point, it's like, really? You're just like showing me my greatest fears that I live every day? Like, oh, my mom had a hard time when I was born because our father left. Yes, I know. It's been mentioned. You know, you expect me to believe my mom doesn't love me because of that? I mean, well, I guess, you know, honestly, who knows with these kids? They're very emo. So maybe Stargirl's like, oh, my mother doesn't love me and thinks I ruined her life. Oh, but I don't feel from the end of it that's what we were supposed to get from that.
Yeah.
I like that they did save the dragon's daughter.
Yeah.
You know, at the end. And now is she going to go back to being evil? Probably. But, you know, people can change. You know, the shade. You know, that's the thing. It's like at a certain point, there's a certain level of evil that people really don't feel comfortable with. You know? And I think that is the idea here, is that, you know, as George Clooney says at the end from Dusk Till Dawn, I may be an awful human being, but I'm not an MFing awful human being. You know, it's the idea that, you know, yes, I'm not going to take you here because that would be the worst thing I could do, and I understand that. You know, so you need to go and live a life because I'm not that awful of a human being. And along those lines, you know who has a similar speech this week, Philip?
Who?
Speed Demon.
Yes.
In Captain America. Sorry, the United States of Captain America. Captain's America, as is pointed out. Because they do the grammar check in this, which I always love.
Yes.
We had a bunch of concepts we didn't get to use, so we only had so many issues, guys. But we got like a big football player, Captain America. There was a Captain America in a suit here somewhere. I guess he's the Captain America of Wall Street or something.
Yeah, did you see his shield's like a briefcase?
Yeah, there's all kinds of Captain Americas here. No, there's not a beer Captain America. Yeah, not that I see. This one actually looks a lot like Danny Cage. There's one next to Wall Street Captain America, who looks like Danny Cage, who is the Captain America of the future. Nazis, freaking Adolf Hitler. He's just like the worst supervillain.
The hate monger, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, on all counts, he's the worst personality, and he has very bad schemes. Because he always gets punched by Captain America. But, yeah, but in this, Speed Demon makes the point. He's like, look, dude, I did not willingly join up with Nazis.
Exactly.
I may be an awful human being, but world domination, Nazis isn't my bag. I run fast and I take things. That's what I do. I know my wheelhouse. I'm cooperating. Which is an interesting aspect about the vigilante superhero dynamic, because it always is that idea of, you know what? Sure, we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna team up with a supervillain this week because it helps the story. It helps prevent us from not completing our mission. And a neat thing with Sin in this one is that she does have an America-themed mask. If you notice that all the Watchdogs had the Confederate-themed mask.
Mm-hmm.
And it does highlight that thing that too many people are using that old red, white, and blue as a hate symbol lately.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. It's not supposed to be, but it sometimes is. And that's the problem. But still, and we get all the Captains America get to go to the Smithsonian.
Yep.
Have all their shields there. So now none of them have shields. So that's not good.
Yeah, I would think those are replicas because, everyone turned in their shield, including Steve. I'm like, I don't think so.
Well, they probably they just made new ones for everybody except for Steve, because his was vibranium and magical. But, because most of those shields were probably like, well, these aren't the best shields. You guys are literally using a garbage can shield. Maybe we made it into like adamantium shield. That would be better for you, kid.
Yeah.
Or just steel, or some kind of alloy of something and another that you hope. So all the Captains of America out there, maybe they've got some Tony Stark money in it, because everyone goes to Tony Stark for money nowadays.
And then I guess after this, we're not getting a regular Cap series yet. I mean, it looks like a Captain America and Iron Man team up. I looked it up. It's like another 5-issue story, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the old was it Tales of Suspense? That was the Tales of Suspense model. So those two characters have always been tied together.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm good with that. I'm good with the Captain America Iron Man team up. Those two need to work through it. And for what it's worth, they're both arguably the human level characters.
Mm-hmm.
Although both are super geniuses, and one, has the super soldier serum. So, I can work with it. But I think that I actually always felt they made a good match,
Oh, yeah.
Because one is, and here's what I'm going to tell you right now. They embody so much of America in the idea of that, Randian capitalist ideal and that New Deal, we're all in this together mindset. Those two people, they're going to have their fights, but they're also going to say, but we need each other.
Oh, yeah, because Cap is very much, a creature of that time, and Tony Stark is definitely a creature of the modern age, yes.
A kryptonite sword would hurt you because it's a sword, yes. Depends on the universe, Tristan. I am doing a podcast right now, so if you're not going to be on topic, But yes, kryptonite swords would have a negative effect on human beings if they were real.
And their radiation. I mean, if you're around one long enough, Lex Luthor wore a kryptonite ring for years, thinking he was all brilliant, and then he gave himself cancer.
Is that in all universes?
Well, that was that John. Was it Byrne or right after Byrne?
Yeah. See, well, though, here's the thing: if you'd encased it in gold, it wouldn't have been a problem because that would have blocked the radiation.
Yeah.
You know what he did? He chinced on it. He could have just worn a lead ring and it would have saved his life.
He just wanted to be like, you know what? I'm sleeping. He can't come near me. You know what? No matter what, he can't come near.
Yeah.
But it's like Superman wasn't going to come around and like strangle him in his sleep, you know.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, he didn't have to. He could have gone to suborbit and looked down with his X-ray vision. Oh yeah, he's got kryptonite. Well, good thing I'm more than 50 feet away, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Guess I'm just gonna laser your head off.
I mean, what's the first thing Batman did when Superman gave him that ring? He puts it in a vault.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that way, if he goes to the vault, Superman knows and he knows to attack from suborbit. Okay. Do you know what got Tristan very excited this week? The return of Throg.
Oh yes.
And the Avengers. Dun dun dun. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how I feel about poor Thor getting sort of led around by Loki and everyone. Because it does kind of feel like everyone else is doing this, and Thor's just like, you figured out what we need to do? Oh, great, Thor. Even to the Loki of saying, oh, but how could I possibly? No, I do not do that anymore. You have caused too much trouble. But what if there were another you could reach out to? Hint, 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 hint. And so I guess Throg and all of the sentient animals live in, like, the sentient animals that are mystical Asgardian animals live in this. I wonder if, what's his name? Ratiskar, I wonder if Throg and Ratiskar have ever thrown down. That's the trickster squirrel who lives in Yzigdril. Squirrel Girl fought him once, and that was hard. But yeah, also just the fact that Throg has already assembled his team because he's been planning this for months now, and we get and I love we have that natural animosity between frogs and crows.
Yeah,
we're not just going to gloss over it. We know each other. We know what we can do, but we also know what our relationship is. We get Lockjaw, of course, the great Inhuman. The best thing about the Inhuman TV series, so really, if anything from the Inhuman series comes over, bring back Lockjaw. And he's an Indoggin, I guess, is what you would say. We get Lockheed, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what poor Kitty's going to do without Lockheed, but Lockheed has his own. He has his own missions to go on too. And then we go to Doctor Strange because we need bats.
I know. I love it. He knocks on the door. Doctor Strange is, oh, what can I do for you? He's like, nothing. Come for you.
Yeah, we need a tracker. So there we go, a ghost dog, and he makes the point. You will call us the Avengers. Not even the pet event. We ain't nobody's pets. Ain't a pet here. I loved this book. This was great. This was fun and this was entertaining. So I liked it. And then the last book I read this week was, of course, The Death of Doctor Strange.
Yep.
And I love when Doctor Strange says, well, this is certainly a problem for the Sorcerer Supreme.
Who is that? Oh.
Who's currently the Sorcerer Supreme in this universe? Funny you should ask. And I do wonder, because like the last time he was not the Sorcerer Supreme, didn't like the Eye of Agamotto just go looking for another Sorcerer Supreme?
Maybe.
And now it's just sort of like, nah, we're good.
I mean, unless the Eye of Agamotto is just like, wait, well, there's a Stephen Strange still here.
It's confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was waiting for it to just sort of go on its little Green Lantern quest to find someone without fear, which is no one, obviously. But and I love that they're really playing with that 60s dialogue for old Doctor Strange.
Zounds.
And I think he even said, I haven't said zounds in years. But they're playing with it. They're having fun with what if Stan Lee was still writing Doctor Strange? And for what it's worth, kind of emphasizes the fact that, you know what, Stan Lee actually did write these books.
Exactly.
You can say what you will, but like when that dialogue got written down, that was Stan Lee. He was the one telling this story. And we can talk about all the differences and all the different people playing in the sandbox, but I do love this old school Doctor Strange with his less impressive but nicely trimmed mustache.
Yeah.
And I love when they're like, just, is this really Doctor Strange? And they're like, he smells like Doctor Strange. It has his aura. And it's like, no, I took a week out of my life.
So does that
which
mean
is weird because it means that there was like a week. Does that mean that this Stephen Strange will only exist for 7 days? Is that the implication of this?
That was gonna be my question. Is this guy only gonna last 7 days then? Unless we find some kind of magic spell or something, I bet.
Yeah, or something's going to happen. Well, okay, so possible spoilers for fan theory. Stephen Strange killed himself, or like set it up so that he would die, so that his new 7-day body would come back. That would have all that he could then imbue with himself and his essence, and sort of undo the last so many years of his nonsense. It's
just like what they're doing with the Scarlet Witch right now. Okay.
Yeah, just sort of like, oh no, but it's but just the idea that his body's back to where he is, but now he's got his memories, so he's got who he was. So it's not quite what they're doing with the Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is like, I don't know whatever happened. What? I don't recall any. That wasn't on this memory tape. Pepper, who's happy? That's a deep dive from when Tony Stark erased his own mind and then had to use an old backup tape.
Yes.
That apparently he had made before he met Happy Hogan, which is weird to me because it's like, wasn't Happy Hogan like one of his earliest did he meet Pepper before Happy Hogan? That was weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, probably not by much, but I think he might have. Yeah, it's very.
Yeah, because it's like, and of course in that universe, of course, Pepper and Happy got married, and then Happy died. So, and there's, oh man, no one ever talks about the fact that Happy Hogan has never come back in the comics.
I know. Well, yet.
No.
I know.
Is there a big demand for him?
I haven't heard any, but.
Yeah, but it's like,
I would have thought once he started appearing in the MCU, they would have brought him back or something.
Yeah, but you know what? I guess there are some deaths that just cannot be undone. Especially since he was dating Pepper, and now we have Pepper dating Tony. Yeah. And it's like...
Oh, no, they were married in the comics. No.
Yeah, well, no, I know he was married to Pepper. That was the whole thing. It's like that was that whole life. And yeah, it gets a little complex and difficult sometimes. Anyway, Philip, that's all my books this week. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's it. No, my favorite moment from Doctor Strange is when Zelma picks up his Avengers card, and he's like, "Can you take your talking card somewhere else?"
It's not my talking card. It's your talking card, Stephen. They don't give me talking cards, okay? I'm a librarian, not an Avenger.
Always signed by the President of the United States.
Yes. And then I just got to imagine that, freaking Doctor Strange is, wait, I'm an Avenger now?
What is an Avenger?
I think he might have been well, we don't know.
It depends when they took it.
Yeah, exactly. What is an Avenger? Who am I avenging?
Oh, that's going to save 5 people, right?
Yes. Well, actually, often it is, it's...
Yeah, but I just mean maybe it was within those first 15 issues of Avengers. It's like, oh, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You mean those guys who live up the street? Why are they living in Tony Stark's mansion? I never understood that. I get Iron Man works for it, but they should all shouldn't they all have their own apartments? I don't know. Yeah, there'll be wackiness to ensue, I'm sure. All right, Philip, if people would like to reach out to us, talk to us, give us money even, in one way or another, how can they do that?
Oh, well, if you want to write to me or anyone else on the team, especially if you want to share your thoughts, the next 2 weeks on Super Connectivity, next week, we're going to talk at some Eternals comics, because in 2 weeks, we're going to do the Eternals review right here.
Oh, yes. That
Not
is
on
correct.
capes, right here.
That'll be exciting. I love the Eternals. They are long-lasting.
That's right. So send your thoughts on all the Eternal stuff. Yeah, email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-capes. And find all our social media, our YouTube channel, our Patreon, please, if you can, subscribe, our merchandise. All of it is at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way where mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet many a thing, including the last 2 seconds of Stargirl when I watch the whole episode, but I forget to tweet about it, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been another wonderful episode of Super Connectivity. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you have become enlightened like Phil and I. And I hope you come back next week to once again super connect with us. Good night.
Good night. That's right, we're dancing.
I'm always dancing, Phil. Always.
Dancing with my favorite.